I was in front of my boss signing a huge contract with an apartment, with car, with everything that anyone will dream of. And I remember looking at the window and telling myself, if you sign this, you are not going to get out of this life.
Welcome to Marketing Your Way podcast. I'm Anastasia Mann, marketing strategist, agency owner, and business mentor. But more importantly, I'm your guide to breaking free from the 9-to-5 and building a marketing business on your terms. I know what it's like to crave more freedom, more impact, more income. I've been there, and this podcast is your shortcut to get in there faster. Each week, we dive into real strategies, expert insights, and mindset shifts to help you launch, grow, and scale your marketing business with confidence. And just in case you're wondering, yes, this podcast comes with a Ukrainian accent and a whole lot of straight talk. So if you've ever asked yourself, how do I find clients? What should I charge? Can I really do this? The answer is absolutely yes. And you're in the right place, my friend. Let's dive in. Today's guest is someone who instantly impressed me with her story, her vision, and her heart. Rebeca Brand is the founder of BrandR Studio, a strategic brand and marketing agency with a bold mission to help entrepreneurs build brands that mean something, that move people emotionally, not just sell products. But before she was leading a thriving creative studio in Miami, Rebeca was navigating a very different world. Finance, consulting, and corporate leadership roles across Venezuela, Spain, and Colombia. His story is one of reinvention in every sense, across countries, careers, and even belief system about what's possible. In this episode, we talk about that journey, what it really looks like to leave behind a past that no longer fits, how to build a brand from the inside out, and why emotional connection is the foundation of great marketing. Rebeca also opens up about being an immigrant founder, her take on AI and branding, and personal side of showing up as the face of your own business. So without further ado, let's dive in with the amazing Rebeca Brand. Rebeca, I'm so happy to have you. Welcome to Marketing Your Way podcast. And for those who may not know you yet, tell us, who is Rebeca Brand and how did your journey begin?
Hi, Anastasia. I'm so thrilled to be here. I am original from Venezuela. I grew up there, but my parents are from Colombia. I studied finance in the university and I graduated from finance and banking. And I start my professional life working in business in Deloitte. I had my internship in Merrill Lynch for a few months. And I was immersed in the finance world, but I always had a creative mind. I mean, I dreamed of working in the fashion industry, but that was an issue in my house. Like, that was something that my dad didn't want it for me. So somehow over the years, I always had this idea in my mind of having my own company like my father. My father was a really inspirational figure in my early years. So I graduated in finance. I started working on that, but during the years, I definitely wanted a change. So I went to Spain and I had my MBA. And there I discovered the luxury world. Every interview that I had for any company in the luxury world rejected me because I had many years of experience in consulting and in finance. So they were telling me like, no, you're going to resign. And once you get here, you're going to resign. So somehow I end up again like, okay, so I'm going to start working again in banking. And that's when I moved to Colombia. I lived there for 13 years with my husband. And when I went back, I said, you know what, I'm going to give it a try here in Latin America because I'm sure Latins are more flexible. And this is where I can start doing the things that I love or I dream of doing because I had this creative mind. And for my surprise, that didn't work either. Like, I knocked doors and they were like, you don't have the experience, you don't know nothing about this industry. And it's true, I didn't know anything, but I was willing to start from the bottom. It's just they didn't give me the chance to do it. So I end up again working in banking. And when I was offered to take a job in Chile with a really good money, I was in front of my boss signing the contract in Chile, ready to move in with my family. I felt that I was like, if I take this position, I'm going to regret it for the rest of my life. So I end up not taking this position and I came back to Colombia. That's where my journey as an entrepreneur started. The only thing at that point I knew is that I wanted to have a relationship or a company related to fashion. So I'm a dreamer. I'm a visionary. That's how someone called me recently. I see opportunities everywhere, and that's true. And it's a bless, but it's a curse at the same time, because for me, making a decision about what to do sometimes is very hard because, like I said, I see opportunities everywhere. And I'm married. I don't have any kids. I had a dog that I lost last year, and my parents live now in Medellin, and that's part of who I am.
So now you're leading a successful brand studio here in the US. And how did that happen?
Well, after I resigned, I end up managing technology companies in Colombia, which wasn't what I was looking for, but it was a way to, get out from the finance work. So after that, some people knew that I breathe fashion, and they were like, oh, you know what? I want to start a fashion company to sell lingerie for the US. And you like fashion. We are not entrepreneurs. I mean, they were actually my ex-bosses from Grupo Santander. So they were like, we know you. We know that you are very compromised, and we know your values. So why don't you join us in this project? So you lead the project and we give you money. And that, in a real sense, sounds amazing. But in reality, what had happened is that I became like the one lending the money to the business, because they were always late giving me the money. And so that's how I started my first company in the fashion industry. And how I became the owner of a marketing studio is that when you sell clothing, which is the most difficult thing in the world, is because there are a lot of competition out there. And because selling clothing means selling emotions, you need to sell things that people will feel, make them feel amazing. It's not just about wearing a clothing, it's about what you feel about that style in a specific. So I not only learned how to build a fashion company like from scratch, and I had to learn how to manage a factory and how to search for fabrics and all of the things that are, included in a fashion industry. But also I had to learn, and the most important thing, I had to learn marketing, and I had to learn branding. I had to learn how to be a brand that people will want it to have in their wardrobe. And everything is starting from that question. I didn't know exactly at that point. I was like frustrated at the beginning. I was like, oh, I need to increase sales. And I was obsessed about how people select one brand between the other one. And I was really obsessed about that question. And then that led me to branding. That led me to the concept of branding, of how you put the heart in the company. How is it that you translate what it's unique of your brand that is not related to the product, which is the thing that I always talk to my clients. It's never about the product. It's all about the message that you want to deliver to your clients. So during the first years of me owning the brand, I struggled with that because I didn't know. I was selling clothing, and yeah, I was having a success. I wasn't that bad, but still there were other brands selling more. And I was, kind of frustrated. Why is this happening to me if my product has the best quality in the price range is amazing? And I saw other brands more expensive and with the less quality selling more. The only difference that we had is that they had a message to deliver, and they had something different, something unique, regardless to the product. So when I discovered that, that was my holy grail. That was like, oh, now I get it. So I am missing this. So I start putting the whole, this whole of, did an exercise with the team, and we created this lifestyle. We create this brand message, and we start communicating from that. And that's when the brand started to really make community. So then I discovered I really love this. I really enjoying doing this. So I decided, and that was the difficult part also of my journey as a professional, I decided to put me aside of my own fashion brand to build this other business. And because I really enjoyed the communication part, and I really enjoyed helping other entrepreneurs that didn't know that you don't have to sell products. I mean, the product is the medium, but it's not the end. And once you get that, once you are really understanding this, is when you have success.
Branding is really important, and it doesn't matter what you sell. If you have that brand built and you have the connection with your audience, you can pivot in any direction and the audience will follow and the right people will come. Brand, it's not what you say you are, but what other people say you are. Wow, that is very inspiring, Rebecca. Like so many industries, you jumped from one to another until you really figured out what you love doing and reinventing yourself in a new country, right? So from what I understood, you moved to the US with the clothing brand. And was Miami always a home, or you moved around a little bit in the US?
No, I arrived to Miami. My husband wanted to get to Colorado because we have good friends there, and we love the mountains. But I was like, listen, we are Latin. This is my second language. So I don't know if Americans would like me to manage their brands if this is my second language. But we will figure it. I do this very well in my second language. And but yeah, Miami is my home base. And when we got here, I already had clients in Seattle. So for me, it was like really easy to move.
I went to college in Kentucky. I graduated. I moved to New York. And then 2 years later, I moved to Miami. And when I started exploring, I wanted to go into marketing. Right after college, I did HR, which that was not my favorite thing to do, and recruiting. And I was like, I really want something else. So when I got to Miami, everyone was a realtor. And I'm like, listen, I think I need to get my license, and maybe that's what I love doing. And while I was in that process, Anuka is my dear mentor. She was my boss when I was working at the real estate firm, and she was also a realtor. It happened to be like a common friend. She showed us an apartment, and she represented us in this transaction. And then when I was telling her about my life story, like what I'm trying to do, she's like, listen, I have an opportunity, a part-time opportunity in the real estate firm to be a marketing assistant. If you want to try it out, come and see how it goes while you're getting your license. I'm like, okay, I think that's it. That's a great idea. And the rest is the history. So, and why I'm telling you that is that the fact that I didn't speak Spanish was a big thing, because most of the agents speak Spanish. So I think that was a big thing for the company. It was like, she doesn't speak Spanish. I don't know how she's going to communicate with our agents, but it all works out. I still do not speak Spanish, and I probably should learn. That did not stop me from going where I wanted to go. That is an important message for all of the immigrants that are coming to US. Do not let your accent stop you from reaching your goals. Because yes, even though there will be people on the road that'll be like, oh, I do not know about this, maybe I want someone who speaks fluently, etc. It's okay. There will be plenty of people who will say yes. Don't let that stop you.
No, definitely. And I totally agree. Now I see it. Like, people doesn't select to work with me because of my language. They select is because the vision I have and the experience that I bring into the table. It's like, I know, I've been in your shoes. I know what you mean when you're telling me this. So let me tell you, this is the way that we can fix this. I think it's part of the misconception that we also tell ourselves when we are afraid of taking a new opportunity or risking and make that jump. It's like, oh no, what happened if this doesn't work out? And what happens if it's your fear talking to yourself? And I guess it's just, you need to do it with the fear in your side, but you need to do it.
Yes, absolutely. So let's talk about brand strategy and how you approach that with your clients. How do you start that meeting to talk about their brand? What questions do you ask? And it's like a little selfish question too, because I want to know your processes.
So we always start with a workshop. We call it like a branding immersion. And in that, we do not only like the business model type of questions in which I will want to understand how you see your company or how you make money in your company, what are your key resources and all of that stuff. But also we will make questions about your why. What is it that you are doing this and not all other things? Like, why is it that you want to sell this and not that? The only way to bring a good strategy in terms of brand is understanding the why, the behind the scenes of the brand. And sometimes the people doesn't know that. Sometimes they start the business because they saw an opportunity, a gap in the market, and that takes you up to a certain point. I mean, successful. But when you start doing a strategy that will give you a positioning in the market, you need to bring something else in the table that you might not know at that moment. And when you realize that you don't know that, you need to figure it out. You need to find a why. Otherwise, it's just another product in the market. And yes, we can build a strategy, but there's not going to be a soul in it, and there's not going to be something that will last. I mean, you will not build a company that will last in time, that will create community. We will only be selling products. So I have worked with a few companies that they only sell products, and they do fine. But honestly, the type of client that we search is the one that is visionary, the one that really wants the brand to last after them. So when we make these questions, we are also measuring the type of client. I mean, we're also seeing if the client fits with our values. And that allows us to make a decision, because at the end, we are not the typical agency. We are a mix of art and creative side with a strategy and technology. So we will try different things, and the client needs to know that not all the things are going to be successful in the short term. But if we don't try it, then we don't know if that's going to work. It's not the typical thing that we're going to have a solution for all the clients that we have. So yeah, that immersion day that we have, which is a long day, everyone end up being exhausted. It's kind of our starting point to have a lot of information, and with that we go and see the market, and we go and see, we do a massive research that would allow us to understand what's happening in the market, who are your competitors in that sense. Now that we know this is what you want, now we can see exactly where the competitors that are related to the same type of message, and from that we can start searching like a differentiation, like we will see how can we make something different from the rest. So it's a process. It's not quick. A quick no. It's a really long process, but at the end, people start realizing things that they didn't know about their own brands. So that's amazing.
True. It's a fun exercise. I actually recently did that with one of the clients, and you realize that there's a lot of inner work that comes that the client needs to do in order to build that brand. And as much as of like strategy and beautiful creative we can do as marketing people, if we do not know that why, it is really hard to build a strategy that will resonate with the audience and also resonate with the clients, like inner wants and needs, if that makes sense. So it is not easy to make your client happy unless you have that exercise. I love that you guys have that strategy. It's very important.
Yeah, you will see exactly when a client tells you, no, but I don't have the time for that. Like, no, can you send me the questions? And like, I'm not going to send you the questions. If you don't have the time for this, that's telling me that you don't have the time to build your brand. So what's the point? I'm not the owner. I'm not going to invent the answers. So for me, that's a red flag. And it's fine. I mean, there are some clients that are more oriented to the bottom line and that's it. That's how they work and that's where they put most of their time. Totally fine. There are others that wants to build this in a different way, and those are the ones that we resonate with.
Quick break to let you know if this episode has you thinking, okay, I'm ready to do this, but where do I actually start? I created something just for you. It's called the 48-Hour Plan. Launch your marketing business this weekend. It's a 1-hour workshop that shows you exactly how to take your skills, turn them into a clear service package, and get your business basics set up fast. In just 48 hours, you'll be ready to pitch your services and take on your first client without the overwhelm or overthinking. You can sign up now at marketingyourwaypodcast.com/workshop. It's marketingyourwaypodcast.com/workshop. You've helped so many brands to tell their story, but do you find it more difficult to brand and market yourself versus doing it for clients?
Yeah, and I have been speaking about this with other people, and it's so difficult, I believe, because we have so much to say that sometimes it's difficult to make a decision of where should I talk about. Like today I learned this something new and I want to say something about it, but then I don't want to feel that I'm positioning myself in this area that people is not familiar with in terms of my own brand. So I get sometimes frustrated, and also I think we are also more demanding with ourselves that with other people. Like in other people we see with compassion, but with ourselves we are like, this is not perfect. How is it that I'm going to say this? And like at the end, it's in our heads. This is not. I mean, we should be more compassionate. We should be more self-aware that we're doing fine, and that's it, and keep moving.
True. It's an interesting exercise, and it's also a little nerve-wracking to put yourself out there. I recently started a new Instagram account, and just because I felt like I've always been hiding behind the name of the company, behind like what I was standing for, but I never really wanted to put myself out there. And with the launch of the podcast and everything, you realize that people connect with people. People do not connect with names. So I had to do this whole exercise, and it's so much of inner work. And I've been doing the social media management for clients for years now. And you realize how much extra work it takes because it's you. Like you like looking at yourself and you're like, oh, like a little self-conscious. Oh, I didn't like how my dress looked on this picture. Oh, I didn't like how I smiled in this video. And all of these little things that are zero importance to the final product and the message you want to put out, but you pay attention to. So I think that that's part of the rise of faceless marketing. It has to do with that because you're just like not paying attention anymore to your face, how you smiled, how you said things, but it missing a soul. I think that that type of trend of faceless marketing is kind of, even though it is going to take wherever you want to go to a certain point, but then it's missing that big component of connection. and people relating to you based on just like how you talk, how you smile, and all of that.
Totally, totally. And actually, I remember a client that he never wanted to put his face in the account, and he was a chef. And I mean, not even his hands. He was like really like annoying about recording himself in any way, because his story was that he was a big president of a big bank in Venezuela, and then he moved here and he started, he needed to start all over again. And he was, you can see their struggle like inside, like he was really good at this, but because he felt that he was failing, because it wasn't what people of his age expected of him, he felt like a failure. But he was really good at his own business in terms of the restaurant and everything, but he never wanted to show himself. So that was a big challenge, and we created a story behind it based on Ratatouille. So yeah, so we kind of create a tone of voice and a character that will tell the story behind the food, and that really worked. It was a really hard exercise because, like as you mentioned, we were used to put in the face of the client, always have more connection, but we discovered that it's not impossible. It's harder, and it not always work, but sometimes if you think out of the box, it can work. And for him, it did work.
It also has to do a lot with storytelling. And it seems like everything nowadays is going into this like long storytelling idea, where it used to be that everyone wanted like those little snippets, like how all of the social media gurus are like, oh, you have to do carousels and have to give a lot of value and this and that. But unless it's telling a story, like a cohesive story you want to say, I don't think it resonates with people anymore. Like, I think we got like this fatigue of value and information that everyone is providing, where you're like, okay, unless it's really interesting, unless it's like a series of some type of story that I'm interested about, I'm going to follow you because I want to know what happens next.
Yeah, totally agree. And I think this is the year of the branding in that sense, because we need to learn how to tell the story. People will be more, hooked about it, exactly like what else is in there. And in the middle, you can put value, but it's like a gossip. We all like gossip. That's why the Kardashians went, viral and really famous. I mean, to be honest, we as humans like the gossip. So I believe that we need to learn to use that in content to attract the right people also, because it doesn't it doesn't make any sense to only bring the gossip if it's not going to bring the exact audience that you want to bring. But I don't know if you feel like this, but I feel that sometimes we are like a producer of a TV show. You're measuring which content is working and which one is not working, and it's creative, it's really nice, but at the same time it's really hard. Sometimes it's exhausting.
Yes, and keeping up with all of the trends, and everyone is the video producer, everyone is the storyteller, because that's what social media did for the world. Like, everyone is a hero of their own life, and that's what people put out. The marketing shifted so much within the last 15 years.
I remember the first time I saw Instagram, and everybody was posting nice pictures with the filters and all of that. And it's so funny that now is all about the video, about being real, about, telling your flaws to the world. I sometimes question myself, like, should I tell this, that I really screw this up? should I tell the world? And I see other people telling that, and it feels real.
I want to talk a little bit about the reinvention, because you reinvented yourself many times throughout your career. There is a little bit of fear of like, what's going to happen if I leave my stable corporate job and I have to do this again, and I have to show up as a beginner. And I've been in the industry for 10 years. And then you have to start your version 1 at some point, right? If you are going to go this route. So how did you navigate all of that transition?
At the beginning, I didn't know what I was doing. I remember my first breakup of my past life, in which I was in front of my boss signing a huge contract to work in Chile with an apartment, with car, with everything that anyone will dream of. And I remember looking at the window and telling myself, if you sign this, you are not going to get out of this life. And you don't feel good in this life. You don't feel good. You are miserable. I remember going to work not happy. I remember that. I remember every day waking up and I was like, why am I doing this? Why? What's the point? This should be something different. So the first thing is follow your heart. That's the first thing. It's not easy. And this is the second part I'm going to say. I think yesterday I heard a podcast and the person was telling this. If the decision feels wrong, I mean, at that point I felt this was wrong because I was resigning to my financial security and I didn't have anything else. I didn't have nothing. I didn't have enough savings. I did have a mortgage to pay at the point. So for me, it was kind of a crazy point. But sometimes when you don't take the decision in the moment that you need to take it, life is going to put you in a crossroad to force you to take the decision. Like, that's the second learning. Like, I felt at the point that I was in a crossroad. So it was either that or, going in that life that I was not feeling well. Every time I make a decision and I need to take a strategic decision in terms of clients, in terms of, life or professionally speaking, I always come to myself and I always try to understand what my body is telling me. Like, you always know. At the end, that's what I learned. It took me many mistakes and many things that happened into my life that I'm not telling here, but I had many stories to tell. But it took me many years to learn that your body is always going to speak to you. It's kind of like when you feel that something is not right, you feel a little off, then it's not going to be right. I mean, but once you understand that, you got to be intelligent. You got to be, for example, you have a good client in terms of money, but you feel this client doesn't resonate with you. So that relationship is not going to last forever, or it's not going to last enough time for you to stay there because you don't feel right. You don't feel that relationship is going to be good for you, but you don't take the decision because financially speaking, it's good for you. So when you are in that position, for example, what I do is that, now I know that this financially speaking is good, but I need to move on. So that doesn't mean that I'm going to run like, okay, bye client, bye financial stability. That's it. No, I put in motion a plan for me to make the change. And I always try to be respectful to my values, understand when someone is not in the same, in conscious level. So in that way, I'm not going to make a decision by rush. Like, you don't want to be in the crossroads. So you need to step ahead and try to see when you feel is good and keep going. I don't know if it's an easy answer, but that's the way I have learned to make the decisions. And that's the way I now work. That's the way now I try to navigate life, which is in constant change. Like, today we're here, tomorrow we don't know.
Let's talk about email marketing. If you're over clunky platforms and wasting hours designing emails, it's time for a change. Meet Flowdesk, the easiest, most beautiful email marketing tool out there. Stunning templates, simple automation, no limits on subscribers or emails. And the best part? You get 50% off your first year. That's just $19 a month. Grab your deal now at marketingyourwaypodcast.com/Flowdesk. It's marketingyourwaypodcast.com/FLODESK. I love what you said about listening to your body. I think we've just been conditioned not to listen what our body is telling us from the very early age. And I started reading this book by Joe Dispenza, right? Breaking a Habit of Being Yourself.
I love that book. It's amazing.
And I was like, wow, like what he's saying truly resonated very much. Like you know, your body will tell you, like to come back to that point, your body will tell you if that is a good decision or bad decision. As women, especially because we run more on instinct than men, I a lot of times you say yes to something, knowing that that is probably not the best thing you can do right now. Because financially it was making sense, business-wise it was making sense, but then internally I knew that this was not right for me. I would learn that lesson and the life will put that in place. You'll be like, okay, yes, I did not have to do this. And when you're starting out, you are the yes girl. You say yes to everything because you're like, okay, I just need to learn. My first ever freelance client was not in real estate, was in life coaching. And he needed social media management. I never ran social media for a company. I was more on a strategy level. I said yes to that. And I'm like, I'll figure it out. I've never run social media campaigns. And okay, let's figure it out. And I said yes to that. And that definitely took me to a realization that we can do anything we want to do. It's all learnable skill. You take that first step and you will figure it out. But at the same time, like, is it truly what you want to do? Is it truly will bring you joy? That being said, what advice would you give to women who are standing at the edge of reinvention, but afraid to take that leap?
Listen to themselves. Like if they're ready, they feel that they need a change, just do it. Because, no matter how many podcasts, books, whatever you read, you will need to experience your journey. You will have learning from that. You will make mistakes. Let me tell you this. Jump into the water and you will make mistakes. No matter how many books, no matter how experienced you are, because you come from the corporate world and you had this amazing job and you were killing it. But now you want to do something else. You will need to have your own journey. That's the reality. There is nothing written in rocks. There is nothing like 100% certain that will make you not to fail. Actually, failing, I will say, is a great sign that you are getting into the success. Because failing is, at least you're trying. And I don't say this as a recomforting way of saying that. I say like, when you fail, that means that that matter to you and that you're trying to make the thing that you want to do to work the best. So there's not a formula for this in life. So failing is part of the journey and you will need to learn how to navigate that. You will need to learn how to not drive yourself crazy every time something is not right or going into the way that you imagine. It's like a roller coaster. I always tell people, like, entrepreneurship is like a roller coaster. You will have highs, many highs, you will have speed, and you will have downs. And that's always, no matter in which level are you. I imagine any of these billionaires having ups and highs and downs. It's always this in entrepreneurship, and you will have to learn how to navigate that. Definitely.
Oh, yes, absolutely. You never fail unless you stop trying. So I think that you keep going, and whatever fail happens on the road, it's a lesson. So if you take it as a lesson to learn from, you never fail.
Yeah, and actually, for many years, I struggled with the side of the business that I never liked, which was sales. Actually, I felt that I didn't like sales because it was too pushy or whatever. And I had many failures in that sense. And on one time I listened to an influencer, a Colombian influencer. She's very good because she's about changing your mind and everything. And she said, you know what? In sales, you need to find 100 people that tells you no, that close you in your face the door. Because the 101 is going to be your yes. So every time you go to try to sell your idea to someone, go thinking that that person is going to say you no, because in that way you will feel the courage to keep searching for the no, because you're going to be more near to that yes. So once I understood that, I was like, they're not rejecting me, this is not personal, I'm more closer to my yes. So I see that in a different way. And I see many people that jump into the entrepreneurial world and they have security, financial security in corporate, and they feel really frustrated unless they were in sales. But if you're not working in sales, they feel really frustrated about selling because they don't know, they feel rejected. No, listen, keep going. Go and search your 100 no's. 101 is going to be your yes. That's it.
Yes, when you go into entrepreneurship, there will be years that are amazing, and then you'll have years where you feel like, okay, I don't know, like whatever was working last year is not working this year. What do I do? And I think that helps you learn new skills and figure out the ways to grow your business and double your business, even double, triple, whatever you want to do. In a different way. Maybe it feels more, and sometimes it doesn't even require more time from you. Maybe it means that you have to build a team so you can focus on things that matter in the business, that actually generate revenue, because you're so stuck in doing day to day working in your business versus working on your business. I read the book over the winter break. It was called 10x is easier than 2x. It's an amazing book telling us that it is easier to 10x your business versus 2x. Why? Because in 10x, it requires a different way of thinking. It requires you to think out of the box, versus 2x, you just try to figure out what was working in your business that year before, and then double your effort in those things that work, and then maybe remove the things that didn't work. But that requires more work from you as a person. And it's not really making any big changes to your business. You're just doubling what was working. But if you really want to grow, and you have to think outside the box. You have to see the opportunities that you didn't see before. And usually you start thinking about that in those down years or in those down months, because you're like, okay, what can I do now to make this work? Because of whatever reasons you have. You have to have your own why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Because there will be days, months, weeks that it will be hard to build this business. And that's why, like, when you go into entrepreneurship, I think it's important to realize that sometimes the easiest way is not the right way, because maybe you don't love what you're doing. If you don't love what you're doing, it will get really hard and you will stop trying. If you love what you're doing, even if it gets hard, you'll find reasons to keep going, and that will definitely take you to success, whatever success is for you. For some people, success is money. For some people, success is time. It's another lesson that I learned. You have to learn what is your definition of success. For me right now, it's like I have a 10-year-old and I have a 17-month-old. So for me right now, the success is to be able to stop work when I go pick up my 10-year-old from school so I can spend time with her. And it's also have the slow mornings where I don't have to run into the commute and rush, so I can spend that morning with my baby, because the baby is growing and soon enough she's going to be in school, and I don't have those slow mornings anymore. I have to rush her into her class. And while you're still in your corporate job, while whatever you're doing, while you are in a transition where maybe you're in maternity leave, just define what you really like to do. What is it that lights you up, and double down on that, right?
I totally agree with that, and I feel that for me, defining success has also been a journey of discovery. I think at the beginning was more about doing what I love without understanding what that meant, and then one some other time of my life was, having financial stability, and now it's more about being in peace with myself, knowing that I'm aligned with what I believe. I'm also having balance of time between my family, my dad, my mom, my spouse, and my friends. That's the hardest part because, having that balance is not always easy at the same time of managing a company that is growing, and it's kind of, finding the beauty in that. So for me, like I said, what, you need to enjoy the journey. You need to learn how to enjoy the ups and downs, and never complain about, oh, it's because this day is really bad, and nothing is being good, so I don't want to talk to my mom, or I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to, your friend calls you to, get a drink and relax, and you're like, no, today I had a bad day, so I don't want to go out. I used to be that person. Like, I will let myself, have a bad day or have a bad week or even a month because I didn't have the things going into my way. Now I have learned that that doesn't define my life. Like, even if things are not going into my way, I'm not going to let that to define the result of my life, the happiness that I want to have. I want to be happy. I want to enjoy everything I do, no matter what. So it's choosing that part of my journey and happiness. And yeah.
Absolutely. I wanted to bring back branding for one more second. We talk about how important it is, that emotional connection in branding, right? Emotional connection to why you do things you do. Can you share an example where this approach significantly impacted a brand's success?
Well, I have many little stories, but one that I always take into my heart is that I have one of my clients. She reached out to me because of an interview in a podcast, and she was a young woman that was in a point of changing her life, and she resigned to her corporate work because she wanted to do something in the fashion world. So she reached out to me and she said, you know what, I want to build a company. I want to sell scarves. And she's from Mexico. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. But why do you want to do it? So go. And I asked her. And at that point, she didn't have the answer. So she said, you know what, I'm going to go back and I'm going to, try to figure myself, like, why is it that I want to do that? And she said, you know what, Rebecca, I did the exercise and I realized that I've been feeling annoying that she's from Mexico, that I see many brands of people that are not from here coming here, and they take our symbols, they take our history, and they put it in a brand that doesn't reflect the reality of the Mexicans. And I want to really bring a community around that story, around the story of us in an artistic way, but also I want to talk about how the cycle of life, how is it that we are contributing to our planet. And I was like, that's your why. So now we can work together. So we start building her brand. We launched it in less than a year. And now she's rocking out. I mean, her brand is really amazing, and she's doing really well. And that's one of the examples of when you start with the why, and we had this conversation in our community too. But when you start with the why, it's when you really make the change. So yeah, that's one of the stories.
I love it. That led me to a question. How can entrepreneurs infuse that authenticity into their brand narratives? Give me 3 questions, if you can, to guide someone through building and answering that why that you would ask your clients.
Well, one of the questions that we try to do is like, imagine that the planet is going to disappear. This is a tragedy, and but the leaders of the world are selecting the few companies that will help, to create a new world in another planet. So I asked them, what would you take from your company? Who would you take from your company to send as a representation of what you do today and why? So that question is like, whoa, that's difficult. And I said, remember, we don't want to repeat the same mistakes that we're repeating here in this planet. They're selecting people that, are going to make a difference in the new world. So that makes them reflect a lot. And it's like, oh my God, you're killing me with this question. I don't know. And I think really hard. And that's a great question to make. And that brings them, the inner world into the business side.
No, that's a really good question. So, as someone who believes so deeply in emotional connection and storytelling, what is your take on the rise of AI and branding? Do you see it as a threat to authenticity or a tool that can support creativity in the right hands?
All about AI. Let me tell you this. And actually, I'm launching my new side of the business is that I want to help companies that don't have the budget to put their brands out there, like in streaming, with commercials that we can do with AI. Let's say a budget for a usual commercial can be from $50K to $3 million, and it can take from 3 months to even 3 years to make it happen. So we can do that in 2 weeks for, less than 10K. And I believe that AI is a magnificent tool to create new things in a faster way, in an efficient way too. But also you need to know it's going to replace some of the jobs that we already have. For example, community management. If we talk about people that manage the account in terms of responding questions and all of that, now we can do that with AI. Now we can launch. We do that for even our client. We create bots with personality that will talk and respond, different response to people that is connecting with the account, to make it in a faster way and not losing the side of the community. So let's say that job maybe is going to disappear. Let's say that designers, we need less designers than before. But that doesn't mean that everything is going to disappear and I think everything is going to transform. And we need to understand the new world that we have ahead of us. We need to understand that AI is not going to disappear. AI is not going to go anywhere. Actually, AI is teaching us our limits. AI is telling us, I'm faster. You created me, but I'm faster. I knew more than you. So in a way, it's really terrifying because you realize that you're human. But also in a way, and I always tell people this, people is going to pay for the execution. Because no matter how, now you can ask AI anything. I want to do something, and they will tell you, like, this is the strategic plan, this is what you need to do. But do you know how to execute that? No. Do you have the experience? No. So now people is going to value more the experience of executing the plan. It's not the strategy, like the strategy of, okay, but executing the plan is going to gain value. So for me, is that bringing value, executing things that people still cannot do it by themselves, even with AI, because AI is not going to go and execute things for you.
Yes, I absolutely agree with you on that. This was throughout the history, right? Like when we first started using internet, it was the same story. Like, oh my goodness, now everything lives on internet. What jobs are going to disappear? There is always a fear of unknown that people have. As long as you utilize and you learn how to use the tool, you will not be replaced. Yes, maybe your job is not going to look the same, But regardless of AI or not AI, it will not look the same in general because things change, especially in our industry. Marketing evolves so much that things change regardless. As long as you learn how to use the tool to your advantage, to make yourself more efficient, to make your company more profitable, so you have more time to execute, as you said. I think that was really well put together. The execution is still missing part of AI. Yeah. It's all the information, all of that is on your fingertips. So now what are you going to do with that? We definitely have like an overload of information. You can do anything with anything right now, but it's a matter of like taking your time and execute.
Yeah. So people don't get afraid. I mean, jump into the wave.
Quick break to let you know if this episode has you thinking, okay, I'm ready to do this, but where do I actually start? I created something just for you. It's called the 48-Hour Plan. Launch your marketing business this weekend. It's a 1-hour workshop that shows you exactly how to take your skills, turn them into a clear service package, and get your business basics set up fast. In just 48 hours, you'll be ready to pitch your services and take on your first client without the overwhelm or overthinking. You can sign up now at marketingyourwaypodcast.com/workshop. It's marketingyourwaypodcast.com/workshop. So, what are the upcoming projects and initiatives that you're excited about at BrandR Studio?
Well, now our focus is on launching this new line. We also plan to launch our own podcast, my husband and I. He's the technology guy. I'm in the heart of the company. So we kind of want to talk about the struggles of the brands usually have and how can you navigate that in a way, in a funny way. But yeah, our hands are full. And you're welcome to follow me in my personal Instagram account. It's at Rebeca Brand. That's my last name. And in my company brand is BrandR Studio. And yeah.
Thank you so much for your time, Rebecca. Truly amazing work, what you do. Good luck on that podcast. That's a major undertaking. Do not underestimate the time it takes to put this together. But it's a great way to share your story and share your why and why you do things. Thank you so much for your time. I hope to have you back soon on the podcast.
I really enjoy this. I really feel comfortable here. So thank you.
And that would be it for today's episode of Marketing Your Way podcast. I hope you are walking away with fresh ideas, new insights, and the confidence to take your next step. If this episode spoke to you, please do me a favor and leave a review. It will help more marketing experts like you to find the show and build their dream business. And hey, don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss a new episode. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Until next time, keep building your marketing business your way.